Welcome to Eugene Cannabis TV. We made the trip. We were here with a really special guest. We have Eileen, a co-founder, actually the founder of the show. I think, is that correct?
Long time ago.
A long time ago, but the founder of the show. And then I came along and then we worked together. And so it's great for Eileen to be back. Eileen has written a book. And when I say written a book, I don't mean she went out and published a book. I mean she wrote a book. It's in handwriting.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And so, see, I met you about
2001 or 2?
Somewhere in there, I'm thinking. And we were working together as activists, and then we started talking about Hemp Fest, and then Eileen was instrumental on working on getting the Hemp Fest, so she's also co-founder of the Emerald Empire Hempfest. And the thing I always admired about Eileen is that she was a mother of a toddler, a baby, and she was living on the street and working as an activist also. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. I'll never forget, she had the yellow, and she doesn't do computers that well, so she had a yellow illegal pad, and everything's on the legal pad written out. Took me forever to get it on the computer, but but I got the info.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's so good to have you here.
Thank you, DanK. It's so good to see you too.
You bet.
Glad you're feeling better. And
yeah, I've been down in the last month and a half or so, and hopefully starting tomorrow I'll get better. I'm going in for an angiogram, so we'll see what happens, and hoping that'll start things on the turnaround, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But now these days, hemp is the big thing for you now, probably now? Or?
Well, my kids are getting older, so I am getting back into the hemp movement. I'm also really happy to know that across our great country, farmers are now growing hemp, and even in Oregon. Now, do you know some of the people like Mr. Winters who are growing hemp?
No, I've never met him personally, but I know of them. And the thing that when I think of hemp this year being grown in Oregon did you hear about the deer eating the hemp fruit?
No, I didn't hear about that.
I don't remember if it's Winters or somebody else, but anyway, somebody planted hemp this year down in southern Oregon, and they planted 1,100 plants, and the deer came in and left 60 of them.
Ooh, that hurts.
So, yeah. They said that they were kind of put it in at the last minute. They knew the fences weren't that good. So next year they'll be more prepared. But I thought it was kind of humorous because you can't say they're eating it for the psychoactive part of it,
right? Because
hemp doesn't have any. So
it's just a tasty green.
It's just a tasty, it's a tasty green, I guess. But I had never heard of deer eating hemp. I thought, wow, that's interesting.
Well, if people are interested in learning more about the farmers that are growing hemp and what's happening, you can look up dougfine.com. That's DOUGFINE.com. And Doug Fine is real big on hemp, and he has visited Kentucky farms and Vermont farms and Canadian farms and European farms, and people are growing this crop to make paper and fiber and fuel, and also our famous hemp oil. And this is the oil that is pressed from the hemp seeds. So it's a fresh oil, and it has really good fatty amino acids in it, fatty acids that are good for human beings. So high protein food and all the good things of hemp. Yeah.
So how do you use that?
Well, personally, I've been using hemp oil just as a healthy supplement. You can put it on your salads. You never cook with it because it's a good green oil. I take about a tablespoon a day, and it's just supposedly really good for your skin and your brain, because our brain is actually a fatty organ, and it needs good fats to function properly. And hemp oil happens to be perfectly suited for the human body. So. Yeah,
we had a couple that came to Hemp Fest 3 years ago and were selling hemp nuts. I can't think of the name of it now. It's where they take hemp seeds and then shell them.
Oh yeah.
And take the hull off, you know, and just eat the internal part. And that's supposed to be something like the highest vegetative source of
protein.
Omega 3. and this was, you know, thing. And then several years before that, we had a lady come to the Hemp Fest, and she brought a table, and she would come in one day, and she'd set up a table, and she would give out little salads with hemp seeds on it.
Oh.
Next day, she set it all up like that, but it was a little desserts, and she had little desserts, and then she'd hand out these desserts, showing how you could use them, you know?
Yeah.
It was neat, and then I never saw her, then she was gone, never saw her again, but
yeah.
it's been interesting over the years, the people that come and gone, you know?
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. How many years has it been the Hemp Fest in Eugene now?
Well, we started in 2003, and I forgot my numbers now, but I was calling at one number, and they said, oh, no, I said, you're counting it wrong. Well, they forgot that we didn't have a Hemp Fest in 2004.
That's right.
So we can't count 2004.
Okay, well, this last one was very successful, right?
Oh, yeah, it was fantastic. First of all, we had it was a venue up in Portland that canceled because of permits, and so all of a sudden we had vendors, or cannabis-oriented vendors, looking for a place to go.
Great.
And so I was getting phone calls, and people said, you got room? And you know, I'm greedy me. Oh yeah, we got room. We'll get you in there. We were packed.
Good.
Literally. I mean, we literally could not gotten another vendor in there. I mean, it was
That's
just
excellent.
So packed.
Well, that means that next year is going to be even bigger, and especially because so many farmers now, American farmers, are turning to this crop. And I know that here in Oregon, a lot of farmers are looking for new crops to grow. And it's very important for us to get food sustainability, local food sustainability going. And hemp just happens to be a crop that takes less water. It grows really, really well. It gives good yields. And so this is a good crop for our farmers to be thinking about growing now.
And you don't need pesticides or
insecticides.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's organic. We can do it organic.
And you know, I'm really glad you brought the Hemp Fest, because it just dawned on me, I need to be talking about that, and here's a good time to start. Next year, it's going to be real challenging, because what happened was the city has told us that they will not give us the park next year.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, why is that?
Because I allowed pot smoking to happen.
Ooh.
And so it's a long story, but anyway, I can see where the park was ticked off, because well, anyway, it's just a long story. I don't get into it.
Okay.
But anyway, the point is I don't think it's a problem. You remember in 2004? That's the problem we had in 2004, until we finally made the deal and came back, and then was in the park from 2005 on, and then never had any more problems.
Right.
So we've been there before, because we were denied before, and then we worked it out. So I think we can work it out again.
Okay, I do too.
And plus the fact, Portland, the last 2 years were denied for the same reason, because pot smoking, you allowed pot smoking, they weren't going to let them have another Hemp Fest. And so they appealed and won.
Well, we're going to have to appeal here.
2 years in a row, right.
Good.
So what I'm going to do, and I got to get on it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get together, and Brian Michaels, who's our attorney, and also, of course my mind went blank, I think there's another attorney that helped us too, and so I want to contact both of them. But anyway, I just want to explain to them, you know, what happened, and blah, 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 and such, and then go from there and see what happens. But like I said, I think we can get around it. But that's only one problem. The other problem, well, a couple more problems. Another problem is we need storage room for the Hemp Fest. I've got to take an inventory, but I've got something like 8 or 10 trailers with the Hemp Fest stuff on them. And I have more stuff than that, but the bulk of it's on trailers. I've always been trying to acquire trailers and get it on trailers, so that when we go to move it, you just hook it up and drag it.
And you've been storing all these years?
Yes, I've been a caretaker on a piece of property, and that's where I've kept all this stuff. But over the years, I've gotten more and more pressure and heat about, I got too much stuff, and I'm using their place for storage. So I did at some point, and I'm not, and like I said, it's not pressing right now. I think I'm okay through the winter, but I've got to find a place to put it. So now's the time to start working on it. I talked to Kathy Ging about it, so she mentioned something which is, I thought, big head slap. She says, well, maybe we can find a place for 3 here and 3 over here. I didn't even think about that. I'm just trying to think of a place for, but yeah, we could, no problem at all. We could break it up, no problem. And the trailers were pretty much set up so that they're either tarped or they're not wet. And in other words, people can't get into them real easy, and there's nothing really valuable. You know, like for instance, one of the trailers is all of our orange construction fencing, that kind of thing. Well, nobody's, you know, they're not looking for that to steal, you know. But anyway, so that's it. And then the other problem is we need more hemp with the Hemp Fest, help with the Hemp Fest. We need more coordinators. That's the biggest thing. I've been saying for years, and every year we have enough volunteers to do the job, and good ones too. But we need coordinators. We need people that will guide the people, the volunteers on what to do and what, because majority of them, or a lot of them, I've never been to a Hemp Fest before or any event, and so they don't really know what's going on. And so if you just guide them and tell them what needs to be done, and then follow up on it, make sure it gets done. Yeah.
So for the Hemp Fest, Emerald Empire Hemp Fest 2016, we're already talking.
Yep, that's right.
About getting storage space for our trailers, and also for coordinators, more help. Yep. And
yes.
That's great, because it's just, I know it's going to be big.
Yeah. Oh, it is. and we have our website, so you can go on our website and get a hold of us through there. You can get a hold of me through your email right now, dankbagman@hotmail.com. That's dankbagman@hotmail.com. And anyway, so that's what we're looking for, because we've got to keep. Here's the thing. Because I'm getting old enough and everything, I'm really at the point where I could just stop the Hemp Fest. You know, I mean, as far as, you know, I mean, I'm really.
Yeah, because you're the coordinator.
Well,
you're
this one, and I think that's what brought my health issues on, is because it was just a horrific year. Somebody told me Saturday that I was not looking good. So, but anyway, I don't really. But here's the thing: I got a tiger by the tail, because I can't let go.
Right.
Because if I let go and shut the Hemp Fest down now, then the word's going to be that the city wouldn't let us do it again, and that's what killed it. We can't let that happen.
No, that's right.
So we have to at least get the okay to go on, at least one more year, you know, just to prove that we can do it, you know.
Yep.
So that's where I'm at, and that's it. So I'll be talking more about this in future shows, I'm sure, because we've got to get the word out. I know there's people out there, I've been saying it ever since 2003, that somewhere along the line we're going to pick up some people that are going to really pick this thing up and go with it. I'm looking at myself more like a caretaker, you know. I'm just trying to keep it going, but we really need somebody that, I mean, I'm not a showman.
To take it and run.
Yeah, I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm not a showman. I'm just a guy that thinks people should be able to smoke pot, that's all. So anyway, that's where we're at. So we've got to wrap up here a little bit, but again, I really appreciate you coming in, Eileen.
Thank you, DanK.
And Eileen lives out of town, so it's not really easy to get in town, but I really appreciate you making the effort.
That's right.
And
Hemp Hooray, and
yes,
keep it up, everybody. Keep talking about hemp and learning about hemp and teaching others about it. And maybe try some hemp oil. It's really good for your body and your brain. It's worth it, and it also supports the industry. That's pretty soon going to be a U.S. big industry.
Oh man, it's coming.
It's coming fast.
It's coming.
Yeah.
We'll see you next segment.
If you're an adult who enjoys a good beer, there's a similar product you might want to know about. One without all the calories and serious health problems. Less toxic so it doesn't cause hangovers or overdose deaths, and it's not linked to violence or reckless behavior. Marijuana, less harmful than alcohol, and time to treat it that way. For more information, visit marijuanaissafer.org.
Welcome to the second half of Eugene Cannabis TV, and we're here with another one of our one of our other guests, actually, Stone Phillips. And Stone Phillips, I admire. He's got the heart of an activist and a fighter, just like when I started out. So
well, you inspired me, DanK. I'll tell you what. You know,
cool.
Seeing you on this show for so long, I just was like, man, I'm here in Eugene. I'm going to school. I want to do something.
There's
you know?
an inspiration to everybody out there.
Oh.
We all can be activists, and we can all change it. Just because it is legal. We say, oh, great, it's legal. Well, yes, it is legal. But at the same time, though, we're a long ways where we need to be, because there still are penalties involved. It's a plant. There shouldn't be any penalties involved. What kind of penalties involved with tomatoes? So there's a lot of fight out there, and we've got a lot of people, fat pockets, that are just trying to take over the marijuana industry in the state of Oregon. It's a mess. It's a mess, and it's going to get uglier. And the next Senate session in Salem, it's going to be really wild. Yeah. But anyway, what do you got tonight?
That's like you said, DanK. You know, it's a plant.
The work's never over.
It's a plant. It's an inanimate object, and the war on marijuana is a war on an inanimate object. And I'm just wondering, when in civil, history of civilizations did a civilization that had math and chemistry and all these amazing things wage a war on an inanimate object? I don't understand. 1,000 years ago, did they line up the chariots because there was a plant they were scared of? I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me. So it's a plant. It's an inanimate object, and I made a little joke. What's worse than waging a war on an inanimate object?
Yeah.
Waging a war on Iraq. See? Quite interesting.
Yeah.
That's a little joke I made, It's double entendre. But anyways, I wanted to remind everybody about what I was talking about on the last show about this United States Court of Appeals from the Ninth Circuit in regards to hemp stalks. And I just wanted to remind the viewers out there, especially those who are possibly in college, going to community college or the university like me, that according to the federal government, we are allowed to have hemp stalks and sterilized seeds. So we can have a hemp stalk on campus, contrary to what the administrators would like us to believe. We can federally have one. So I just want to keep reminding people about that. I'm going to keep talking to some, buddies of mine at school and see if something comes of it. I think something could, and I hope it does.
It's just another issue of your rights.
Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Yeah. And I said before that as a University of Oregon student, we pay some of the highest tuition prices in the United States of America, and it's not a cannabis-friendly atmosphere. Students who lead alternative cannabis lifestyles are minoritized greatly, and other students are beginning to speak out about it. So people are starting to gain a little bit of awareness about this, and it's just unfair. It really is unfair. I mean, to the point where my fellow student body members feel intimidated because I'm giving them a free magazine about weed, and I had to have a whole struggle with the school about that, but I eventually got that straightened out and utilized my rights, but I can see the effects of the drug war mystification over some of my student peers. Some of them actually, it's like, dude, it's just a magazine. It's okay. People are starting to, loosen up a little bit, though. So there's some positive signs, positive signs, definitely. I have another interesting thing here. It's actually from the UN's Office on Drugs and Crime. Now, what's interesting about the UN is, I believe in 1963, the UN, through their United States representative, I think his name was Harry Anslinger, I believe. I forget what division he was representing, but it wasn't America's best interests. It was the UN's best interest at the time. They were the ones who pushed this whole war on drugs from the beginning. And what's interesting to me to see is how the UN is now talking about decriminalization all of a sudden. So you have the UN, using the United States as the poster child for their war on drugs decades ago, and now the UN's starting to change their rhetoric. And so, what's with the American government? Even the UN doesn't really want to do it anymore. So, anyways, I'll read this document a little bit. It was apparently leaked out a few weeks ago by the gentleman who owns Virgin Mobile and Virgin Airlines. He's a rich British fellow. His name escapes me right now, but apparently he got his hands on this document. It's a briefing paper, decriminalization of drug use and possession for personal consumption. This document explains that decriminalizing drug use and possession for personal consumption is consistent with international drug control conventions and may be required to meet obligations under international human rights law. It lists negative effects of criminalization. I mean, it's saying criminalization is bad. It's not effective. It's causing a ton of problems, basically. In fact, this matter of practice or policy is de facto is one of the statements, which that's not a good thing. That means it ain't working, guys. We need to pull the plug on this. So it's just kind of interesting to me to see the UN taking the lead on this one. In my opinion, the American government should be taking the lead on this. So I don't know.
And one of the reasons they keep saying they can't legalize it is because of international treaties, and yet, but we got the UN starting to look the other, thinking, so I think might be.
It fascinates me. Also, I've been hearing something, I don't remember where, something about a cannabis being investigated by some of these world governments as a possible food supplement to some of the people who are suffering malnutrition in some of these poorer nations. I was, don't quote me exactly, but I remember hearing something like that. Nations are beginning to look into the feasibility of having hemp, as you said before, that it was the highest, the most nutrient-rich seed, I believe there is.
Yeah, and also they don't have the insecticide, pesticide problem thing needs.
Exactly.
So, yeah, incredible.
It's a very hardy plant.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Also, I wanted to talk about this again. I briefly touched on it, I think last week. I just wanted to talk about it a little bit more. It's about a Congresswoman, Susan Delbane of Washington, talking about, she's from the U.S. House of Representatives, and she is trying to throw together this State Marijuana and Regulatory Tolerance Enforcement Act. Now, that sounds kind of hinky right there. I didn't like the title at first. And then part of this deal is the bill would allow states to seek out permission from the U.S. Attorney General for a waiver, which would certify that the state has established a law that is sufficient to protect federal interests. I don't like that at all. That sounds very hinky. So far, it seems like the only federal interest is to tax us for it unfairly, by showing us how to launder drug money and then accept the drug money, which is what the IRS is doing. And there's multiple other federal interests that I don't agree with. I don't think the federal government should have any interest at all in it. That's my opinion. So I think bills like this I just don't agree with them. I don't see why a state should be having to beg, please, can we have hemp? Can we make a ton of money off of this inanimate object that's a threat to no one, please?
Yeah, it's coming though. It's it was growing this year. Next year it's going to be even more so. So it's coming.
I hope so. And then also got this great paper that I've been meaning to read from the father of ethnobotany, and ethnobotany is the combination of the study of cultures and then those cultures' uses of plants. Botany, ethnic, botany together. People and plants, basically. So this gentleman, his name is Richard Evans Schultz, very prolific botanist, so much so that he gained the title of the father of ethnobotany. And he wrote this paper, I believe, sometime after 1968, and he wrote a lot about cannabis. And it, you know, I kind of was like, hey, this guy's maybe going to say some really cool stuff, and I found some of the stuff he's saying is a little surprising. So I'll read to you a little bit of what Mr. or Dr. Schultz has to say. It is a plant, very abundant and ubiquitous plant, an unusually valuable economic plant, possibly a dangerous plant. You see, now, why is he putting this on page one of his report? Who's he writing this report for? Who at this time, the late 60s, when the drug war is about to ramp up, and this is a scientist, so he's already creating justification for law enforcement to say that possibly this is a dangerous plant? It's very interesting.
You didn't expand on that anymore then.
Oh, well, he goes into a little bit more. What we do know and understand with certainty is much less than what still remains hidden in a mist of uncertainty and conjecture. He almost sounds like he doesn't know what he's talking about. But anyways, he says that the marijuana plant is an anomaly in view of its antiquity, its diversity of uses, and its success in spreading spontaneously over a large part of the Earth's surface. And a little bit about, you know, ancient times and the Earth's surface is from what I understand, there's a place called Pangaea in ancient times where all the continents were joined together, and it just seems to me like, you know, it spread spontaneously millions of years ago. So I'm just wondering, could it be a native species possibly here in America? I don't know. But anyways, we'll talk about this paper some more. There's many other
you bet. Well,
subjects I want to discuss.
We're wrapping up the show today, and I really appreciate your information, Stone Phillips, and let Stone Phillips be an inspiration to you.
You inspire me too, brother. Let me tell you what.
The fight isn't over. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks for being here.